Hey folks, Disgruntled Dad coming back to you here. Sorry for the time away here. I needed a couple of weeks to gather myself. Wanted to share with you folks. I did lose my son recently. He was 19 years old. It wasn't even anything I can be angry about. It was just knucklehead kids doing knucklehead things. He was skateboarding. Of course, he refused to wear a helmet, and I was holding on to his friend's car. I think it's called skitching, maybe. I don't know. Apparently, I'm getting too old for this stuff. Anyway, 25 to 30 mile per hour. He took all the force in his skull, and we ended up having to pull the life support Mother's Day evening, which that was my ex-wife's and my current wife's Mother's Days will never be the same because obviously my ex-wife birthed him, and my current wife we raised him by ourselves for a good 3 years. So I mean, everyone had a close relationship with him. It's just I having dealt with a lot of loss. I shouldn't say a lot, but my grandfathers, they were closer to me than either of my parents by far. And so those were tremendous. That was a tremendous amount of pain for me to deal with as a young man. And they passed away of normal, healthy causes. At I think one was 78, the other was 92, and so it was just that was it was still difficult, but that's how I kind of got my understanding and acceptance of death. And my aunt told me something really profound as I was mourning the loss of my second grandfather. And it was, what else would he say to you that he hadn't already? And for me, that was you're right. It was time to go. It hurts being the one left behind, but yeah, there was nothing more we would have talked about. I mean, obviously, we would have enjoyed continuing to talk just like friends, not quite friends, but you get the point there. Seeing the carnage of being downrange overseas, constant death, incoming mortars killing your guys, you bombing, the guys on the outside of the fence. I won't say good guys or bad guys because it's war. There is no good or bad, but that stuff, that stuff will sit with you. But I'm through the crying phase. My daughters are not. They are still mourning heavily, but now there's just kind of a hole in here, and I really don't know how to get through that. But I don't know if it ever goes away. That's something I'm really not sure of. That being said, there's nothing to be angry about here. His friend who was driving the car, I've let him know. I mean, completely forgiven him. My son's mom let the boy know as well. We forgive you. We don't hold any ill will. This boy is destroyed. I was his best friend since we lived in Colorado in 2012. They've been best friends. They used to run around through the neighborhood holding T-post drivers with the handles and the metal tube on their shoulder, pretending it was a rocket launcher. I mean, these kids best friends, and that boy moved up to Michigan from Colorado to live with my son, as he just moved out in his own apartment here in March. Bought his first, or January, he moved into his apartment. In March, he bought his first car, 17% interest. He called me on the phone. How do I pay for this thing? I didn't get a bill, and I know the bill's going to be due soon. Something like, I don't understand how you don't know this, but anyway, gave him some advice, and that's the kind of relationship we had. Is he would, typical young man of, he's got to let him out in the world to you figure out how you're going to live your life, and let me know when you need some help. Don't just call me for money. You have to build that relationship. You have to maintain that relationship, and I have a little bit of regret for that. Not a lot though, just because I was told him, don't just call people for money. You have to maintain the relationship. If you can't just shoot a text message or a call once in a while to say hi, how are you? I care for you. Don't call these people when you need something, because then they start feeling used. And the reason I don't feel too much regret for that is I was still crafting him into be a quality man, and he wasn't a degenerate. So I can say that with confidence, not just because he's gone now, but he was a good quality human being, and he really cared for other people a lot. But I was just talking to his uncle here at the morning party. It's his mom's Laotian. She's American, but her family's Laotian, and his uncle, white dude down in Georgia, and he was saying, I remember visiting out in Colorado then, and he was drinking this drink in the backseat of the car, and you drove by one of the neighbor's yards and said, hey, that drink bottle looks just like the one you just had. What'd you do with your drink bottle? I threw it away. Really? And there just happens to be the exact same one down the street from our house that we just drove by a few minutes ago, and that's not yours. Nope. And apparently, I don't remember this at all. I mean, I vaguely remember it now, just the imagery of him dragging the trash can. But we went home and I said, "Get that trash can. No, no, our trash can. You're just going to go pick it up. Take our trash can down the street, pick that bottle up, put it in that trash can, and you bring it back to this house because we're not littering." And this is the sorts of thing. It was kind of an a-hole, but at the same time, it's important to me that you're a good quality human being. And I, because of that sort of thing, though, he didn't call me a ton because he was always going to say, hey, he wasn't going to say it, but he was going to describe a dumb decision that I advised him not to make and how he's now in a tough position because of it. But he would still, hey, okay, I made a decision. I'm trying to figure it out and live with it. How do I do X, Y, and Z? So it was always dumb stuff like, hey, I need to figure out a new job. Okay, here's some steps to take to find that new job in a career that better aligns with your skills and something that'll carry you through. Or here's how you go about paying your car note. Or here's how you go about paying your rent. Things like that, budgeting, really basic stuff. And every once in a while I'd call up and say, hey, Papa, thank you. Today, X, Y, and Z happened. And you remember when you made me do, and the last one he called me for was he got in trouble at school. And this was over a year and a half ago. It was right before graduation. They were ready to expel him. He just wore a shirt with some dumb stuff on it. It wasn't grossly inappropriate, if I recall correctly, but it was kind of borderline. Even not being in the woke mafia, I would say, probably shouldn't wear that. Anyway, said, thank you. You made me during the COVIDs when I wanted to be a streamer, and you said you ground me for my PlayStation. You said I could earn it back, but I had to present to you 3 COAs for how I could make streaming a reality and the steps I was going to take. You made me brief you. You made me make the pitch deck. And he did all that. And he said, well, you taught me how to talk to people, so I was able to talk to my principal and not be suspended. I just apologized and wrote an essay. Thank you for forcing me to write, and those sorts of things. Those are the fun memories I have. I mean, obviously I have lots more from just family time at home, but things like that. If I know I showed you how to be a quality young man, and even when we were button heads a little bit, like we still had that love for each other and that respect. And those are the things lessons learned, things I really appreciate. And there's still a ton of regret. I wish I'd fought with his mom more and not let him go live with her. It's not. I can't say it's her fault, but we have very different values in life, and I'd like to believe that I would have kept him working more, and he wouldn't have had all that downtime to be doing dumb stuff with his friends, and that ultimately led to his death. But the lessons learned for me in this are, and I'll be doubling down, tripling down on these things for my kids, and one of you wear a freaking helmet. I don't care if you're running. No, I don't want to be crazy, but always wear a helmet. And this boy, he was an expert at not wearing a helmet. You'd see him leave the house with the helmet. You'd see him out in the street. Where's your freaking helmet? Oh, I set it down. I must have forgot it. And it got to a point where, okay, you're not allowed to go outside until you buy another helmet. Okay, let's go get one. No, you buy one because you keep losing them. And boy, we fought over that one for months. And eventually it just got to the point, okay, you have your helmet. It's just on your handlebars. I can force you to go home, but then you're just going to be pouting around for a week or so. And oh man, I acquiesced. That's on me. I didn't fight him enough to get him to wear a helmet. And if I could have somehow made that culturally acceptable for him, or a norm for him, maybe we wouldn't be here. And I know this is the regret part. You're supposed to go through grieving and get past it, but boy, just the things I could have done that I can't do anymore, those really eat at you. But lessons learned in general that I would be really doubling down on my other kids is work more. Stop watching YouTube. Stop gaming. And granted, we don't game here, and I don't really let them watch YouTube either. But basically all the idle time, gotta go. Go do something productive. Show me what you're doing to make the world a little bit better place. What are you doing to improve yourself a little bit? Keep working. There's always relaxation time, but there's too much of that. There's too much relaxation time. You have it's Protestant ethics of capitalism. Idle hands make the devil's work, I believe it was. Point being, do more work, and instill greater work ethic. Because the more you have built into you and trained into you the desire to always be doing something and working, the less idle time you have to do dumb stuff. And then staunchly enforce a constant seeking of purpose. And that's evolving for all of us as we go through life. But have you thought about today why you've been put here on this planet? Why did God place you here right now? And even if it's the most challenging time you've faced, why did God do that? And you probably won't know right now. But reflect on some of the more challenging times in the past that you went through and some of the dumb stuff you've done, some of the just crappy situations you're in. Why did God put you there then? And what has that helped you with moving forward? What has that built in your character? That just helps you figure out that greater purpose. You don't go joining pro-Hamas terrorist groups or something like that, or some white supremacist group. But God put you here for a purpose. Let's figure that out together. And last thing here, always strive to give more than you take. And so just like I was cramming into my son's mind is, hey, don't just take from these relationships. You have to call and see how they're doing. Build the relationships. Nourish those relationships. And if you can't tell from all this, I am very much in favor of being a good father. That is, from some things I've never shared before, but even as a child, even at the age of 12 and 13 years old, I don't remember exactly when, but I remember distinctly laying in bed crying because, man, there's nobody wanted me. My dad had left. We didn't leave, but he told me I had to leave. So my dad kicked me out, and my mom was busy. She would work and then come home, fight with her boyfriend, and then go watch TV in bed. And it was just, man, why does nobody want me? And so from that point forward, though, throughout my entire childhood, it was always that kind of the nuisance thing. It's not that they were neglectful. They just, all right, what do you need now? Okay, here's this thing. Please go do that thing. Here's this activity. Please go to that activity. And so it's all this stuff that just sucked. And I always wanted that created in me a passion to be a good quality father. And a lot of it, yes, a lot of it revolves around a lot of discontent with my father, who I'll tell you, we've built a really good relationship in my adult life because he's an incredible grandfather. Sucked as a father, but a great grandfather. My mother, we're still struggling, just an angry person. But what's important to me, being a good parent. And so before I got remarried, it was, I don't want to get remarried. But okay, before I even dedicate spending any time with you, especially you around my kids, let's test this out and see if you're a decent person. If you can model a good mother figure for my children. Because they don't need any more good time gals. I learned that lesson. And how do you be a good parent? How do you create a good quality human being? How do you create a good adult moving forward? And I challenge all of you as you grow, and even if you already are a parent, if you've sucked as a parent. I started out terrible as a parent. I came into my son's life when he was 5 years old. I was horrible the first few years, just near negligent. I mean, granted, I was a 23-year-old man with a 23-year-old woman. I was looking for a good time. I found a good time. That didn't last. I think we lasted 7 years before she was doing our own thing. And, it's one of those things there. Red flag, but when you're 23 looking for a good time, what's a red flag? That must mean party harder. And point being, I sucked at the beginning, but I listened to people like Jack Spirko on the Survival Podcast. He talks about these things every once in a while. We're creating adults, not kids. Raising adults. And I listened to a few of these things. What's that fruitcake? The bald guy was kind of libertarian for a while, says don't ever hit your kids. Well, he's nuts, but he did have some good points here and there. I never ascribed the no spanking thing. I mean, granted, I'm not a big spanker, but once in a while you need a butt lit up because you're not hearing, and I need to unclog those ears a little bit. It's rare, but it still needs to happen from time to time. We're animals. Children are like dogs. You can train until, okay, I need to get your attention. And I don't have to spank the dogs, but kids are just, because they have that little bit of extra something in their head that you won't actually do anything. Dog, you can scare the dog and train the dog without beating it. But a child, no, you're getting that butt lit up. And examples there. My son, he was hard-headed just like his sister, she's 10 now. Whew. That girl, she needs a spanking about quarterly because she get in her mind that I don't need to listen to you. You can't. Oh, yep, you can actually. My bad. My 12-year-old, I've had to give her a spanking twice in her life. She just, and most of the time, both the times actually, were just on principle. And it weren't any hard spankings. I was just more to hurt her feelings because this is not okay. And the last one was when she was 11. It was just, this is silly, but if I'm going to give your sister a spanking, you're kind of getting that age. But I'm gonna give you something because you should have known better than to participate in this. You didn't do it, but you participated, and it's just she's just such a great kid. It was just again more to hurt her feelings than physically hurt her at all. But I can tell her I'm disappointed in you. She's gonna cry. So again, totally different things, different types of people, yins and yangs, if you will. But take away from that, be a good parent. If you suck as a parent, if you feel like you're not meeting up to it, please just take some time and try to improve. Like I said, I had a terrible relationship with my dad growing up. My graduation day, I was sure we were going to get in a fist fight. He hugged me for the first time that I remember on my graduation day from high school. I didn't know what was happening. What is this? It was like Step Brothers. I thought he was going to throw a jab or something. What is this? But we've been able to repair that relationship because he's been able, I mean, he's a great grandfather, but clearly he'll learn a few things. And even my sister will tell you, we had totally different childhoods. 9 years apart, I was older, so obviously he had some growing time, but I think he learned a few things, which I don't know if he'll ever admit to, but he learned a few things in there that he wanted to improve on, and he took those things forward, and I've given him some feedback. I mean, heck, we're working on actually this office building here, and we almost got in a fist fight because I can work for him no problem, but he can't work for anybody else. And we're working on my project. Well, hey, I want to do this thing this way. You can't do that. Nobody likes that way. Is it unsafe? Is it going to break something? No, you can't do that. Well, I'm going to do it because this is mine and I have to live in it. Or in this case, my office, but I have to office in it. And so, man, we almost got in a fist fight. He just packed his crap and left. But since then, and I told him he couldn't come back because he insulted my wife with, he bought brand new sheets from Walmart. That makes sense. And he laid him on top of the bed. She spent a week cleaning his house, scrubbing it top to bottom. Because he's kind of weird like that. He just needs everything to appear clean, though he goes to gross restaurants to eat. I don't know, figure it out. But brand new sheets, room perfectly clean. He goes to buy Walmart sheets to lay on top of it because he felt like our house was dirty. And I'll tell you, growing up with my mom, that was a dirty house. I know the difference between dirty, the okay, and clean. My wife makes this place spotless clean. So it's just, to me, what do you mean by... Anyway, getting past that, told him, hey, she doesn't want to be in a room where you're degrading me constantly either. It just puts a lot of stress in the whole house because I can't leave her side because as soon as I leave the room, you start degrading me. And, boy, he took that in. He's just pleasant to be around now. He's finally open to feedback of, oh, okay, well, I want to maintain a relationship with my grandkids. I want to maintain a relationship with my son and daughter-in-law. And so I guess I need to fix some things. I mean, he still can't stop talking about politics, but we can get past that. And now if he doesn't have something nice to say, he just generally shuts his mouth. And boy, I appreciate that. And why I tell you that long drawn out story, you too can be a screw up. I was a screw up of a father, but I fixed it. And it's a never ending journey. If you ever think you are the master of something, I think you've missed the point. The more you learn, the more you understand you don't know. And so it's a constant journey of how can I get better? And every kid's different too. So you have to dramatically change your parenting techniques between children at times. My two daughters completely polar opposites. My son now, the youngest one, he's 2 years old. He's basically feral. I mean, terrible twos he's not throwing temper tantrums like the girls did. He's just feral. Boy, I mean, he runs around screaming, punching, and just slamming things into walls. He loves tools. He likes to work like I do, so he's picking up his play hammer. Thankfully, he doesn't have a real hammer. He's smashing holes in the drywall. Oh, I love you so much. Anyway, boy, keep growing as a parent. Continue to get better. With that, folks, that's all I got for you today. I'm going to slowly get back on the wagon here, posting videos. Like I said, I really needed some time to just work through the grieving. I'm obviously not done yet. It's only been 2 weeks now, but I'm done crying now. It's just that emptiness inside. Working through that. With that, folks, I appreciate you. Check us out at disgruntleddad.net. I'll probably buy a .com at some point. No big rush since there's still so few viewers. With that, folks, reach out, dad@disgruntleddad.net, or leave a comment. With that, folks, have an absolutely great weekend and make it a very productive week.